So what's going on today? Anything special? I know, right?
What day is today? Election day.
So I have a few facts. Do you want me to say any of those, or do you want to go into yours?
That'd be great. Why don't you read a fact and I'll read a question. Are you ready for trivia?
So, Election Day, why is it on a Tuesday? Does anybody have any idea? Election Day in the U.S. is held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. This date backs to the 19th century when many people lived in rural areas and had to travel by horse and carriage to reach polling places. Tuesday allowed people to avoid Sunday church and gave them Monday to travel. Kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Interesting.
It is interesting. I've got a lot of interesting stuff here.
I have a question.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, let's see if the residents know which president was also an actor.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. That's right, Irene. Very good. You got it.
That is great. So what are some symbols of voting? The famous I voted sticker didn't become popular until the 1980s. It began as a simple way to encourage others to vote, and now it's a proud badge for voters, especially on social media. How many of you guys have the sticker or got the sticker I voted? I see you guys right here. Let's hear some more interesting stuff.
Okay, I have another question. How many presidents have served more than 2 terms?
More than 2 terms.
How many presidents?
More than 2?
That is correct.
Just one, yeah.
Jan, you got it. Who was that president? You got it, Jan. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Congratulations.
Oh, she knows it all.
He served for 12 years. Okay, I have another question. Who was the youngest elected president? You got it. John F. Kennedy. How old was he? 43. Was that you, JoJo? Great job. Very good. Over to you, boss.
All right. Let's see. When was the first TV campaign ad? What year? TV campaign, election campaign ad. You're looking like you want to say something, Doug.
I'm trying to think when had the first TV set.
The first televised campaign ad. Are you sure you didn't read this? She is correct. Joe, the first televised campaign ad aired in 1952 for Dwight Eisenhower's presidential campaign. The jingle was catchy, marking the start of a long-lasting trend of campaign ads on TV. I'm sure it was a lot happier than the ads you see today. That's for sure.
Okay, which president was born in Hawaii? You got it. Good job, Barack Obama.
So this is an interesting fact. U.S. elections are unique worldwide, and I'm going to tell you why. Unlike most countries that set their elections on weekends or national holidays, the U.S. remains one of the few nations that holds elections on a weekday. This has been debated for years, with some advocating for making Election Day a holiday. It's not an official holiday.
But all businesses usually let their employees off to vote.
All right, guys, everybody go home. Vote.
In some states they have to.
Yes, and in some school districts, they close the schools because they use it for the places for the polling. So
why do we do it on the weekday?
we do it on a Tuesday because we want to make sure that you're able to go to church and then to ride on your horseback and get to where you have to vote by Tuesday. It's changed a little, hasn't it?
I have an easy question. How long is a presidential term? 4 years. Good job.
That was easy. I even knew that. Wow. All right. When they're doing that train on purpose. When was the first voter identification law passed? And we're not getting political here because I know all the states are different, but what year where you have to have ID to vote? 1965? Nope, it's earlier. 1952? Earlier. 1950. South Carolina was the first state to officially require voters to provide ID at the polls. Today, ID requirements vary widely across states, with some allowing a range of identification types and some not requiring anything at all. But the first official voter ID requirement happened in South Carolina in 1950. Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a radio show. Go ahead, Evelyn.
All right, we're doing our podcast here. Okay, I have a question. What is the name of the airplane that carries the president?
Air Force One.
You got it. Good job, Irene, and everyone else. Very good.
So what was the closest presidential election win margin? Which election? You can even give a year if you want. The slimmest difference. I thought it was recent, but it wasn't. It was actually in the 20th century.
Popular vote or electoral college?
That's a good question. This is saying the popular vote. Now that you know, you want to take a chance? The 1960 election between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon had one of the smallest margins in history. Kennedy won by just 0.17% of the popular vote. This narrow win made Kennedy's victory one of the most surprising and memorable elections in American history. We're looking for the next thing. Did you guys know that voting was once done out loud?
Oh, wow.
Before the secret ballot, Americans would declare their vote aloud at polling stations, leaving their choice open for scrutiny, peer pressure, and even intimidation. The secret ballot eventually became standard to protect voter privacy. So you used to walk up and you would say, they'd say, who do you want to vote? And you would just say, I want to vote for Eric Hardoon. I'm not going to say who I'm voting for, but I'm just saying, could you imagine that?
Are you saying that they didn't have to bubble in the scan
They didn't have to bubble it in. They didn't have to pull levers. They just would have a little ticket and they would ask, so who are you voting for? And you would have to give it and they would check it off.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. Okay, I have a question. Is this true or false? George Washington ran against Ben Franklin in the first election ever for the U.S.
False.
It is false. You're correct, Doug. Steve. It is false. George Washington ran unopposed. Good job.
So this is interesting. One vote can really make a difference. There are several instances in history where one vote made a huge impact. In 1776, one vote gave America the English language instead of German as its official language. That's interesting, isn't it?
Very.
More recently, in 2000, the U.S. presidential election came down to a few hundred votes here in Florida. We all remember that.
We were there. All of us. How many amendments do we have today?
19.
More than 19. Good try, though. More than 21.
24.
More than 24. Good guess. You're getting there. A few more.
27.
That is it. You're correct.
Ding,
27.
ding, ding.
And what's your name?
Linda.
Linda.
And
Great
you
job.
have won a new car. You guys are voting for, or voted for, or don't even care. Does anybody think the election will be called tonight, before midnight?
No.
No. Everybody's shaking their heads.
2 days?
No. 1 day.
3 days?
A week.
A week?
1 week? Because I want to see. I want to see if you guys have the crystal ball. Who thinks it'll be more than a week? More than Tuesday of next week? Because last time I think it was four days. I believe it was about 4 days. So you think more than a week? So what would you say? 2 weeks?
No, I think maybe 10 days.
10 days. Is that the longest prediction here?
Jim, what do you think? How many days?
5 days.
5 days?
5 days. Anybody think before midnight tonight?
No.
No, not even one person. Okay, interesting. So our Chateau prediction, the longest is 10
10
days.
days.
Wow.
All right, Steve. Let's see who wins the contest.
Yes.